This is Intermission, December 16th, 2020. I'm your host, Calvin Cassidy. Welcome to my home in Carl Junction, Missouri. The title of tonight's episode is COVID-19's Assault on U.S. Families. First, tonight I want to talk about the characteristics that make up strong families. Then, I want to look at examples of how our current medical crisis is affecting our families, especially during this holiday season. What do you think about when you think about a family? You may consider your parents, your siblings, your grandparents, maybe even your aunts and uncles, and some might even mention cousins, and others would say close friends or maybe neighbors. The definition of family is individual, and each is important. No matter who you include, they all share one thing. Families include people who love and people who love us. We are connected through a shared history and experience. That definition from a Michigan State University extension study. All families have challenges, strengths, and areas where they can grow. Family is not about who is in a family or who you consider family as much as it is about how your family functions. Strong families appear in different ways, shapes, and forms. Families can include single parents, two parents, grandparents raising grandchildren, foster parents, and others. Research from the University of Nebraska put forth a study on the characteristics of strong families, and they recognize 6 major qualities that strong families share. These common characteristics all contribute to family happiness and strength. The first is commitment. They make their relationship a high priority. This is particularly important in co-parenting families. Reassure your children it is okay to love all of their parents and siblings, and don't make them feel or experience guilt. The second characteristic is appreciation. Family members should let other family members know daily that they are appreciated. Teach and use appreciative language and gestures. Children learn from adult examples. The third characteristic of a strong family is communication. Family members talk to each other about big issues as well as small issues. You want to keep your communication positive, listen to all opinions, and don't forget to lighten the mood with laughter when tensions are running high. Number 4, time together. They are deliberate about planning activities. Mealtime is a great place to start. Include family members in menu planning, shopping, and food preparation, and other issues that come up. Number 5, and I think this may be the very most important in our issues we're having today with this health crisis. Spiritual wellness. They believe in a greater power and have shared beliefs. They model acceptance and tolerance. They share their views about their beliefs and why they are important to them. And the last one, another one that's very important in today's situation: crisis and stress. Families are able to cope with difficulties and crises. They are resilient. Be mindful of how others in the family feel when things are stressful. Encourage family members to work together and share feelings when the going gets tough. All of the strengths identified are connected and are not mutually exclusive. It is important to look at your current strengths and identify a plan to strengthen areas of weakness. You may want to consider taking a family strength inventory that can assist you in making a roadmap for changes in areas that appear weak. In his book, The Intentional Family, family therapist William Doherty includes many family rituals that you may want to include as you work to strengthen your family foundation. This article was published by Michigan State University Extension Office. Now, let's go back and review those strengths, or those things that we build our foundation on for a strong family. The first one is commitment. The second, appreciation. The third, communication. Fourth, time together, being there for each other. 5, spiritual wellness. And 6, crisis and stress. And before we go on, let's just think about each of those. How are they going to fare when we get into combat with the coronavirus? How is COVID-19 providing challenges for today's family structure? The pressure of it all, the hunger, the constant worrying, the depression, to find some stability, it's crushing the American families. But research shows that relationships in families give individuals the reason to keep trying, maybe the most significant reason to keep trying. Each day, families face the same worries and tremendous stress as the continued stress as it was the day before. Will the landlord start eviction proceedings again soon? Will the car be repossessed? Will internet bills become past due? And will that mean that our children may not be able to attend school online? Families must decide whether to put gas in the car to get to the grocery store, or will they be able to buy food? In the rare weeks when a family may have a bit of money left over, should it go towards rent, water, or electricity? For families living on the edge of poverty, the effects of the pandemic have been especially devastating. While child care centers and schools are closed and safety nets disintegrated under enormous demand, families that have been thrust into poverty see little hope of getting out. Meeting basic needs such as food and shelter has become a daily challenge. Many are one eviction away from homelessness. They've exhausted all their savings. They've exhausted all their emergency funds. They're pretty much at the end of their rope. Parents go without food to feed their children, relying heavily on free lunches from schools and food banks, many of which have been strained to meet demand. Families hope that more federal funds will provide some sort of lifeline, but relief legislation is still up in the air. Food insecurity and financial hardships are even more devastating for Black and Latino families. Safeguards such as relief payments, the federal moratorium on evictions in most cases, and extra funding for food stamps needs to continue. Research has found that the stress of poverty, violence, and loss can affect children's brain development, learning, mental health, and behavior. With all the stress we are going through just to keep food in the house, and pay utilities, and just to have the essentials. Children see this. For parents, this is painful. There are some things parents know they can't hide, no matter how hard they try to make things out as normal as possible and shield the kids from the stress and anxiety parents are facing. It's not working. For vulnerable families, the pandemic's effect on mental health is swift and harsh. Give credit to the Duke University for these reports. In just a few months, the COVID-19 pandemic swiftly and substantially worsened mental health among U.S. hourly service workers and their children, especially those experiencing multiple hardships, according to new research from the Center for Child and Family Policy at Duke University and Barnard College. The conclusion: for all kinds of people across the world, the shock of the coronavirus crisis has been devastating, but low-wage workers in the United States were in a fragile place even before the crisis began. Economic inequalities left them and their families ill-equipped to cope with the sudden financial and health shock well before the pandemic's onset. And the coronavirus crisis is harming more than the pocketbooks of low-income families. It is also affecting the psychological well-being. The psychological effects are likely the results of both economic hardships and anxiety about the virus itself, and perhaps even a reaction to respondents or their family members contracting the virus. Over the past several weeks, policymakers have recognized that low-income families are suffering and have stepped up to provide support to those families, but the support won't be effective at completing or erasing the distress of the families or stabilizing the economy if workers don't access them. So, you see, even the strongest families are being challenged by the current state of affairs. Remember, families are made up of individuals that love and those who love them. This Christmas, love and hug those who mean the most to you. Help those in need and be willing to accept from those who have and who care for you. Now, let's move on with our special days of the week. On the 16th, it's National Chocolate Covered Anything Day. Sounds pretty exciting to me. And it's also a day of reconciliation. The 17th is National Maple Syrup Day, and it's the Wright Brothers Day. On the 18th, it's Baked Cookies Day and National Ugly Sweater Day. On the 19th, it's National Hard Candy Day. Hard candy's been a part of Christmas forever. And National Oatmeal Muffin Day. Sounds pretty good. And the 20th is Go Caroling Day, and it's National Sangria Day. If you're going to be outside next week, look for the leaves of the Christmas ferns as they green up and appear green on wooded slopes. Also notice freezing and thawing forms ice sculptures in streams. Fox and gray squirrels are breeding until February. Red fox begin their mating this month. Listen for their barks and their squalls. At your feeders, look for goldfinches, cardinals, titmice, chickadees, and nuthatches. Saw a nuthatch on my front porch yesterday. Now, moving on, today, some personal items that I'd like to talk about. First, today is my daughter Rebecca's birthday. She is our firstborn, a loving and caring person and teacher, and a great mother for Calvin and Wilson, our grandboys. Today, or this week, or coming up on Sunday, will be the fourth Sunday of Advent. On that Sunday, we light the candle of peace. In this coming week, may we strive for peace in our families, our communities, our nation, and the world. And this last item, mark your calendar for December 21st. That's Monday night. 45 minutes after sunset, the Star of Bethlehem will shine for the first time since 1226. Pray for clear skies. We, as people of the world, need to view this as it represents the faith, hope, and love that will get us through this time in history. This week, hug your loved ones, tell them you love them. Share what you have, accept what is offered. That's our show for today. Intermission is over. Time to continue on with your show.